I distinctly remember these alumni weekends when back in our college day, when a bunch of our old folks would come onto town and take over. And specifically, I remember the middle-aged women coming into our sorority house and opening our doors, sitting on our porch swing, laughing too loud at our composite. And it was awkward because I was like, in my mind, telling myself, they want to be us. They want to be young and youthful with their whole life ahead of them instead of old and saggy and wishing the best part of their life wasn't over. I can see now that I was in need of a major attitude adjustment about these good people who had rearranged their schedules to come back to their alma mater to spend some time with old friends. It was 1993. We were the last class to experience college life without the internet. There were no cell phones. The coolest among us had a CD collection. The rest of us were using tapes to play our music. R.E.M., Nirvana, Tom Petty, Pearl Jam, Rod Stewart, Bobby Brown, Whitney Houston, Ice Ice Baby, and Bust a Move were playing from our boom boxes. There was no online shopping. Amazon Prime did not overnight our latest need. Instead, we waited by snail mail for our parents to send care packages. And somehow, without email notifications, we figured out what was going on campus. Bill Clinton was president, there were quarter beers at Toppers, and on a Thursday night, we all gathered around to watch the season finale of Cheers. Vernon Jordan spoke at our commencement, and we drove out of DePauw richer in friends, knowledge, and good times than when we had arrived in '89. Afterwards, we looked for jobs or went back to school, anything to make it look like we hadn't wasted our time or our parents' money. I worked for that next decade in a job I got from an interview at DePauw. 14 days after graduation, I was plopped into a cubicle in Chicago at a financial institution with absolutely no idea of what I had signed up for. I was, quote, one of the lucky ones to get a job that year, but I felt more like I had been duped. What had I raced to? A few years later, I remember looking around an elite floor of colleagues and realizing that I didn't want to be my boss or my boss's boss, but I had no idea what I wanted or how I was going to get there. And what I learned during my struggle is that I hadn't a clue of how things really worked. All of the rule following, pleasing, performing, and perfecting that seemed to characterize my 20s was stifling. The universe started leveling me, told me to knock off the crap, reset, tune in and take some leaps. So I took a leap and decided to leave my role in a conservative financial field and wholeheartedly dive into a wild entrepreneurial ride in a young and alternative career loosely called life coaching. I was committed to helping individuals reset and play full out based upon their own terms. What's emerged after working almost 20 years with passionate, smart, highly functioning, and talented individuals, whether they're young or old, men or women, entrepreneurial or corporate, leaders budding or established, is that I've seen that most people don't know how a successful and fulfilling life really works. What I found more specifically in my encounters with clients, friends, and colleagues is that looking at our internal obstacles still does not get the attention that it deserves. Not looking at our own internal obstacles and instead focusing on what we need to fix in our external environment is why we are not playing full out. If the 20s were stifling due to the rule following, pleasing, and perfecting, and the 30s were exhausting due to the achieving, accumulating, and proving, our 40s are our reckoning. By this point, we've all suffered some bruising. We've had career highs and lows. We've suffered the loss of loved ones, classmates, and for some, loss of marriages. We've got back up, dusted off, and sometimes thrown back down. But as we head to the end of this decade in our life, the message the universe has clearly delivered is this: this life is temporary. You can't continue to play at a half version of yourself. Don't wait any longer. I'm not giving you forever. Regardless of how old you are or what happened to you in the last 25 or the last 50, the same question exists for us all. What story will you write for your next 25? Here are a few ideas to help you get started. First, reset. Slow it down. Take the time to ask yourself the question, what would I attempt if I knew I wouldn't fail or if there were no rules? You see the question on Facebook all the time, but few of us give ourselves the time to answer it for more than a minute. The most important thing a person can have is a vision. With vision, extraordinary things happen. Without it, nothing happens. It's amazing how many of us can deliver exposés on what we don't want, but are hard-pressed to answer the question when asked what we really do. You cannot hit a target you cannot see, and if you don't choose your life, someone will choose it for you, and you might not like what they decide. Identify the optimal vision of your life, your love, your work, your leadership, your parenting in this next phase. Then get comfortable with it so that you can step into it. Second, and this is perhaps the secret sauce to reprogramming for a more bold, rich, and fulfilling second half. Tune in. Perhaps the greatest contribution of the last generation is that physics, psychology, spirituality, and brain science are all coming together to confirm the same thing. Our thoughts are creating our reality. What we tell our brain, it seeks to confirm and make right. It doesn't check your order, talk you out of it. It says yes, 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 and tries to fill your order. Be a master of your thoughts and the story that you tell yourself. The other way to tune in has to do with the frequency that you hold. If there are two pianos in this room and you hit a key on one piano, that same note on the other piano is vibrating. Be the note, be the frequency of that which you want to create, achieve, or contribute. To do this, ask yourself the question, who would I be being, what would I be doing, and how would I feel if I already had that? Then operate from that place. Those habits of behavior and that energy will put you on the superhighway to experiencing it. Third, leap. It's funny, as much time and energy as I have spent resisting my fears throughout the years, I've learned along the way that all the best things in life are on the other side of fear. Rich relationships, cool conversations, professional opportunities, fun times, real times. I find it ironic that we spend the first half of our life learning how to protect ourselves and not get hurt, and in the second half we're aching to let go. Detach from the rules, lean in, and take bold leaps. Here's the key. You have to leap before you think you're ready, and you have to do it before your fear-based mind talks you out of it. Test your edges, get bolder, not older, and make your choices based upon your inspiration, not your fear. Fortunately, as I mentioned, I got the attitude adjustment that I desperately needed since I was an undergraduate. I don't believe those alumni who annoyed me at one time are old and washed up and want to be 21 again. Those midlifers are us now, and we are on the precipice of the best part of our life. That's my story. We've been preparing long enough, we've worked hard enough, we've cared enough, we've been grateful, generous, and kind enough. We are sexy, playful, and fun enough. Don't suffer by telling yourself a limited story of what's possible or rational in this next half. And when you think you're done, when your mind tells you you can't go any further, know that you're only at 40%. Reset, tune in, and leap. I look forward to being a part of the world that you'll create when you do. I'll end with a quote from Brené Brown, who seemed to sum it up best. There are consequences for squandering your gifts. There are penalties for leaving big pieces of your life unlived. You're halfway to dead. Get a move on. You got this, friends.